It is recording.
What?
It's recording.
Shake some down. Hey fans, welcome. Thanks for being here. Good to see all of you. Appreciate your attendance to the community meeting, and yeah, we're just gonna kind of talk about some of the basics of recapitulating a little bit and open it up for any questions and talk about Sedona or anything anyone wants to get into. Just continue to offer these meetings as a way for people to meet each other, just a way to stay tapped into what's going on in the world. And it's an opportunity for each of you to, if you feel comfortable showing your face or raising your hand, telling us what you're going through, it gives people permission and also courage to do the same. We all have different levels of shyness, and it's not been easy for me to do this, to hold these meetings. A long time ago, I was very nervous and shy, and this was the last thing I thought I would ever end up doing. And so you never know what can happen just from being comfortable with sharing in a group. Sometimes my armpits sweat when I'm sharing in front of people or things like that. So it's just part of the process of being vulnerable and having attention on you. So it's just all is welcome here. Any stories or fears or feelings. This is recorded and it'll go on my channel. But if you end up sharing something that you don't want shared, I can edit it out. So don't let the recording keep you from sharing. But just make sure you let me know right away after we do, because it'll probably post tomorrow on my channel. So just let me know if there's something you share that you don't want put up, and I'll get rid of it. Many of you have read Taisha Abelar's book, The Sorcerer's Crossing, and it's a really precise explanation of the old school way in which recapitulation was done. And it gives you a real deep glimpse into an ancient technique that was used by really advanced, dreamers as a means to unbind from this illusion of physicality. So the description that we've been given of the world keeps us from being able to see energy as it flows directly, because we inherited a view through the people that raised us, and that's the conditioning that has put us in a form of hypnosis. And everyone has some form of hypnosis. Even the really, really advanced dreamers that I worked with turned out to be pretty hypnotized in particular areas, especially when it came to believing what the news tells them. So everyone has a different capacity. And sometimes the formula of which the holes in your consciousness operate, we should really be thankful for the one that we have and not try to compare or compete. Because the ones that are able to do certain things and weren't able to see other things, it could really be detrimental. So we're just actually really fortunate to be open-minded without being so open that we're letting things in that are inaccurate. So question everything, even your own thoughts. Being open to the idea that, especially in the advanced stages of development, that you could develop delusions of grandeur or delusions of, you might learn to see energy, and then you might jump to conclusions around that means something particular to you being special because you became psychic or whatever. For me, I had a lot of really cool things happen to me, and I just pretended that they didn't happen. I didn't even talk to myself about them. I just let them be. And that was a strategy that was shown to me. And it was personal to me. Nobody ever told me that. But I did witness a lot of my teachers thinking that they were special because they had cool things happen. And so I chose to just pretend that the cool stuff that was happening to me didn't happen. I didn't even really even acknowledge it, but I was very thankful without referencing it. And so I let it sort of build around me. It built my capacity, but I didn't like track it. The class we're in right now on the online course is called tracking. And I'm now at a stage where I'm going back and reflecting and tracking the things that have happened to me. And I'm comfortable speaking about them because I don't feel the same as I did. I feel that I'm in a time where the doors are opening for me to teach and share and help people to come to terms with the things that have happened to them, um, are legitimate, but also not to assume that just because it happened, that means that it's going to be accessible all the time. The assemblage point moves and our luminosity goes up and down. So when you have a lot of luminosity running, these incredible moments of clarity come in. And when your luminosity is low, it's like it's all gone. That clarity isn't accessible. So we can't make decisions from a place that's unsustainable. So we want to create a lifestyle in which we eventually are able to keep our luminosity pretty high without getting spun out, and knowing that your assemblage point can move at any time and that you could lose energy, and how you recover from those times where you feel that so that you don't overreact and think, and start saying negative things about yourself. So how we talk about ourselves, how we talk about others. When we're talking about others, we're actually talking about ourselves because we're all one. And that's the shadow work. So if you're triggered by people, that's because you are have some if you weren't triggered by people, then you would be in a state of observation and neutrality, which is ideal. But it's okay to admit that you're triggered by people. I am triggered by people. I'm not claiming to be free or in some sort of neutral zone all the time. Um, but the freedom that I've experienced from not being triggered to the degree that I used to be is really liberating. I used to have people sleeping in the porta potty in my job site, and I would come to the job site in the morning and they would want to fight me. It's 6:30 in the morning and I've got a crackhead trying to attack me with a metal object. And if I was triggered easily by that, I would probably hurt him and go to jail for assault. Right? So being able to be neutral, being able to respond in a mature way that isn't based on my wounding, made it possible for me to handle situations that were super intense without getting beat up, drained, physically hurt, or locked up. Road rage is a typical sort of thing that people experience at some point in their life, some sort of experience on the highway where you really get upset with someone for the way they're driving, and you feel this desire to like let them know, like flip them off or do something like that. And so, we just want to be honest with any blueprint that we have around these things. Um, I've experienced being bullied in school. I've also experienced being a bully. And it's really difficult stuff to recapitulate. Those moments where I was mean and or being treated, less than and fucked with. I would be sent to this other school 2 days a week because I was supposedly really smart and I got made fun of at that school. And at my normal school, I was like the cool kid. But at this other school, I was like the opposite. They called me a questie because I was in Quest, and that was the class, that was the program, which I think was some sort of CIA thing where they gave us pills but um, it's all part of our journey to have had these experiences, and they do still sit in our energy field, and they can easily get triggered even super late in life. So we want to recapitulate the events of our life and erase our personal history in a strategic way. If you were to just erase your personal history without balancing that out with other things, then you would become evasive and shifty and not really know yourself. So the Toltecs say you also want to have a relationship with your death and lose your self-importance. And if you can erase your personal history, have a relationship with death, and lose your self-importance, then those three things, make it so it's really beautiful. And the point of the recapitulation is to gain the luminosity that you left in your clothing, in your home, in your neighborhood, in that school, on the playground. So it's not just people that you recapitulate, it's places, things. Every feeling that's ever moved through you can be revisited. So the recapitulation isn't just to get your energy back, it's to strengthen your capacity to remember. And if we could remember, then we could even go back into ancestral memory. We could remember our grandfather coming here from Europe or whatever. We could remember potentially, going way, way back, ancient ancestors. Because there is something really powerful about blood. When you have sex with someone or you have a child, there's a luminosity that is exchanged. So it's the fluids, the blood, the sexual fluids. When those are shared, you share luminosity. The physicality is actually an illusion. The luminosity is real. The physicality is given to us as a convenience to have an experience that's total. But we need to not be caught in the physical world only. We need to be able to be part of the physical world, but also take a break from it as a means to be able to see things as they truly are and realize what we are. We are not just these bipedal creatures that are limited to our physical strengths and weaknesses. And discovering that is the crux of sorcery. That is the key that unlocks the door. And so gazing has been that key for me, being able to see that the world is not just a physical place. And when I'm gazing, the world that I'm looking at, it becomes like fractals. And then those fractals move into, they're able to they transfer into a different layer of the onion. So I share this a lot, but very typical for me is I'm staring at the forest. My eyes cross once I reach silence. And usually what happens is these castles become accessible. Like it's like I'm looking at castles, masonry, stone buildings. And so that's another layer of the onion for me. Someday I'll be able to stand up and walk into one of those castles. Carlos Castaneda walked on a bridge made of fog. My elders would drink whiskey and walk across canyons. It's just having to believe that what you're doing is all that there is. It's a total commitment. But there's lots of people that have walked off of cliffs and died because they thought that they were ready to do something like that. This isn't something to mess with. You have to know that you have to know your power. You have to understand silence. And I don't recommend trying to skip to those stages whatsoever. The reason the recapitulation is so hard is because we try to think our way through it, and it's a not doing. And so you can't mix the doings with the not doings. They don't coexist. As soon as you're in the doing, you're no longer in the not doing. And so rather than try to figure out the recapitulation, know that it may take years of magical passes before you have the capacity to let go of the world enough in order to truly recapitulate. Uh, Questions come in themes because we're all connected. So I've been getting a lot of messages about the recapitulation. How do I do this? And getting told the challenges that come when attempting to do it. It really is a difficult thing for many reasons. The main reason being that there's great pressure on us to not recapitulate so that we remain domesticated and controllable. And so rather than try to push past where we're at, we want to just be open to a strategy that is sensible for our particular situation. It's not that hard to do the magical passes. And so just keep doing the passes. And there'll come a point where the passes help you cross into a threshold of silence that is new and unfamiliar, especially at workshops. When you're in person and you get in that flow state while we're doing the passes over and over and over, something can happen. But at first you might be like, I can't believe we're doing this pass again. That's usually the foreign installations trying to stop you from having that threshold of silence moment. So that's your warning sign. Okay, I'm complaining right now. Sedona is going to be really strong because we're gonna go a little deeper this time because we're in deeper times. Beginners are still welcome. It's just that we're in a time where things are escalating, intensifying, time is going faster and slower. For me, it's gotten really slow and really fast at the same time. So playing with the linear and the nonlinear, being able to make use of the power of the linear. My teachers would get so much shit done in one day. They would make decisions and act. And by the end of the day, they were transformed. I'm not like that. It takes me months and years to make decisions. But I also saw that they got themselves in trouble by being so good at changing their lives so quickly. It led to the delusions of grandeur. They started to think they were unstoppable. And it was stemming from some sort of desperation on their part. So trusting in the particular formula of your holes in your consciousness. And when it comes to recapitulating, it's great to try. I'm not saying because you're struggling or not struggling that you shouldn't go for it. I like to practice being comfortable in the dark and in a closet and just look into the dark because that's where the greatest recapitulation happens, is in enclosed spaces. So that in itself is something to consider just doing without even trying to recapitulate. And then just doing some passes in the dark rather than in a lit room. So if you can find some space where you could practice the passes that we're learning in the course, or maybe you've taken a course in the past and you learned some passes, or maybe you discovered some passes through the DVDs or whatever. It's all legit. And ultimately learning to, be creative. Like maybe you want to dance in the dark. There's some music you really like. And maybe some music from your childhood that would trigger some memories. I was told that the music that I liked was terrible by my teacher. And I was so, um, I was just so, impressed with him on so many levels that I stopped listening to the music that I liked. I let somebody else affect me by their perception of what is good and bad, what is good versus not good. So maybe there's something in your life a movie or a cartoon that you really liked and somebody made fun of you or made fun of it, and then you quit watching it or didn't allow yourself to be into it, or certain activities. Going to a movie by yourself can be really powerful if you're not comfortable being alone. Any sort of action you can do that will remind you of childhood. A lot of people won't watch the Hollywood stuff because of the MK Ultra stuff, and I get it. But it's okay to just use triggers from your past to help you recapitulate. For some reason, I remember my parents taking me to see Pretty Woman and coming out of the theater and having this craving to go buy baseball cards. And so those two things are like tied together for some reason. So if Pretty Woman ever comes back out in an old theater and I go watch it and then go to try to find a baseball card store, which probably doesn't exist anymore. But that would be a powerful thing to do on one afternoon for me, because there's a formula to it for me. It's a catalyst. How creative we can be with the revisiting of the intensities. Because when I was 12 years old then, right? So that was a potent time and all the feelings that were running through me. That was a massive transitional year going out of grade school into junior high, puberty, being super attracted to girls and not knowing how to handle that. And then there's this movie about a prostitute and some super wealthy dude who has all this power to do whatever he wants, right? Like it has an impact on us, these storylines. So just being creative with what that blueprint, how that affected me, how that affects my relationship with women, with money, with collecting things, baseball cards, the feeling of being at Cellophane Square and looking through CDs at the mall. I would go there every day to look through the CDs. it was cathartic. So for me to now go and look at it, any time I do something of that nature, you know, for years I avoided the malls, but now I go to them and walk around. It doesn't bother me. In fact, it's really feels good to just be observing humanity. And so I give myself permission to do things rather than like force myself to go on some massive hike every day in the woods and be alone. And, that's cool. But then that can become a routine of discipline instead of honoring my little boy in me that wants to go do something that I used to do. And or, people say, "Oh, I can't believe you live in a woke town like Seattle or whatever." And it's like letting other people's projections of what's right or wrong and where we should live. That's a total hijack if we let that happen. I love the woke cities. They have the best restaurants. They have the best concerts. And that's like what I'm into, food and music. Don't let other people and their version of what is, you know, the thing to be doing keep you from listening. That's part of recapitulating because capitulation means to hand your power over. Recapitulating means to take your power back. The only way to truly take our power back is to not let other people's perception of this world influence us to the point that we stop listening to what it is that we want to be doing with our time. Another aspect of this, though, is that sometimes the things that used to do it for us stop working. It doesn't make us feel comfortable anymore. It's not a comfort, whether it's food, cannabis, or alcohol, or masturbation. It can be all kinds of strange things that stop working for us because your body's telling you it wants to do something different now. It wants to use your energy for other things. And that's really uncomfortable, but it's also really good sign that you're going to move into a new chapter. And so rather than try to force yourself to enjoy those things, recognize that they just aren't serving you anymore and break the pattern by doing something that truly makes you feel alive. Because that's actually what we want, is to become aware that we're here and alive, to really wake up. And, so there's so many ways to do that. And that's really the invitation to this work, is to get to know what it is that's going to shift your assemblage point and raise your luminosity. And I often hear from people that they're scared to feel good and high because then they're going to have to feel what it's like to come down. So they avoid the altered, heightened states. And I get it, but we have to start gaining familiarity with that feeling of having having ecstatic connection to life. We're actually meant to be having the time of our lives in every moment, but also balancing that with any fractured, wounded parts of our being. So the shadow wounding reflection is just as important. But that ends up feeling really good when you're going into your foundation where the energy is challenging. It's like a homecoming when you can drop into your pain. And I've shared on here often that I think I'm in my heart and I think I'm in my pain. And then I work with certain teachers that help me realize that I'm not quite as far in it as I need to be in order to get to the deeper pop, the emotional release that is still that I'm subconsciously avoiding. And then I feel so much better after that release. My little boy comes up for air. He feels safe because he's being dealt with, he's being acknowledged. But if I don't acknowledge that part, then he stays hiding, scared, unseen, abandoned. So inner child work is essentially recapitulation, being witnessed, telling your story, connecting to creation, to trees and plants in a respectful way. We don't want to start yelling at the trees, right? We ask the tree permission if I can tell you my story, and they'll either say yes or no. And you respectfully unburden your story, or you can do it with me. A lot of my clients come to me to tell me things that are going on in their life, and it's cathartic for them because I'm truly listening. I've had the incredible experience of becoming a tree at one point in my journey. I've gotten to do things that have made it possible for me to know what the not doing side of things are. The trees are not doing. They're not doers. They just are. And we're capable of that. But until we're capable of that, we need to unburden ourselves with the things that are keeping us from that pure presence, that beingness. Don Juan says that this place is a feeling and we are a feeling. Everything else is just a story. So our ability to feel is infinite. Our capacity to enter into eternity is is a real thing, and that's the whole point of this work, is to merge with the mother, to become one with her, to know this realm in an intimate way. It's very moving. And that's the art of dreaming. We are dreamers. This place is a dream. It's a very real place. But the theatrics and the drama and the overlay, the simulated hijack of the storylines that are keeping us distracted, that shit's not real. That's a hijack. That's hypnosis. It's nonsense, but it's effective. It's working. So there has to be a way to reclaim our attention, to become so silent that that stuff doesn't matter at all. And in those moments, even if it's just for a second, so much healing happens. So gazing is one of the ways I get out of that story. I'm opening my ears, I hear. I'm opening my eyes, I see. I can smell. I'm flooding my senses. I can taste. I can without thinking about it, all my senses come online all at once. And I have to be in a very unique state of focus. And it's not a focus of doing, it's a focus that is not doing. It's just allowing the senses to be flooded. And it requires my attention to continue listening, continue looking. And there's some tricks to stay in silence for longer and longer periods of time. And the more those tricks come from your creative imagination, the better. And so as we learn to raise our energy, our luminosity, we get told things and shown things and guided on how to creatively reclaim our attention, our imagination. Our attention and our imagination go hand in hand. We are magical. Image, imagine, image in. Imagining becomes the ability to do what Carlos did, to walk on a bridge made of fog. Imagination isn't making things up. Imagination is falling in love with the psychedelic nature of reality. The fog is alive. The wind is conscious. There are colors that show up in the dark, and they will shapeshift into faces, symbols, even words, one letter at a time. So we're being worked with, we're being communicated with. And so the recapitulation, if it's not something that's coming easily, as far as the way Taisha did it, being open to any way in which you can work with your memories that feels good for you. I practice, if I'm going to give away a piece of clothing, I practice putting my left hand on that piece of clothing and taking my energy back from that clothing. The left is very yin, right? It's very feminine. That's why we focus on the passes, or we're always working on the left side and the back side of the body because we're in such a frontal armor, right-sided patriarch of perception here. So we want to balance that. And the left side is a very powerful means to receive, to draw, to take in. So that taking your luminosity back from that garment or that stone or whatever it is you're ready to pass on. And just see, how does that feel? Does it feel like you're actually getting your energy back from it? Does it look a little different when you're done? It's okay if not. It's not an easy thing to do, to truly do. But when it happens, that the color of the object will be just slightly a different hue because your energy won't be all over it. And then breath work, learning how to get your breath work dialed in is going to make the recapitulation 1,000 times easier. And there's so many free ways to tap into somebody guiding you in a breathwork process. And it's confronting, when I do breath work, I usually end up crying. And so sometimes I find myself avoiding it because I don't really want to deal with my pain right now. But I always feel so much better when I do it anyways. And that is what warriors do is they realize that we don't get another shot at this. This is the lifetime that we get, and we want to make use of what time we do have left, not assuming that we have a lot of time left, but also intending to live a really long life and having the strategy for both, how to make today count, but also how to save our energy, assuming that we are going to live a long life, because that's part of your intent. The shaman that Tommy works with in Africa, I think in Uganda, he is absolutely 100% confident that he's going to be here a really, really, really long time. And just hearing Tommy talk about his teacher saying that, I can feel it from him. He's not just saying it, he knows it, he's seen it, he feels it, and therefore it is. That's what it takes. We can't pretend that we're there. I hear people say things that are empty. But when I hear it just secondhand from him through Tommy, I feel it because it's real, right? So we want to get to that place where we know ourselves and we're not just saying things. Save those words until they mean something. Build your energy up so that you understand what that man understands. What that man does is he does soul retrieval work for people. So he's become a master at helping others recapitulate by intervening upon their lives and assisting them in reclaiming the essence that they left in their past. So once you get good at recapitulating your life, you'll be able to help others recapitulate their life. And when you're of service like that, you, to use Jason Bashir's terminology, you're able to create your own reality tunnel. And that's what we all need to be able to do in order to not go down with the ship of fools. We have to become sovereign, individuated. And that's where the creativity and the imagination kicks into high gear. You become lucid. Imagination and lucidity are one and the same. Some of you are lucid in dream time at night. Some of you are lucid during the day. Ideally, we learn to do both. And some of you have never experienced a lucid dream or a lucid moment, and that's okay. I mean, you have when you were little babies, you were tripping out all the time. It's very psychedelic. The trick is to be able to get back to those feelings that you have felt when you were little. It feels so good. But it's also really sad. because the comparison to how you felt then versus how you feel now can feel really, really difficult. But that's part of the journey, is to feel the sadness. So I want to open it up to any questions or any feelings or any storylines that people want to share or tap into. Um, yeah, anything at all. It's just, Sedona is going to be a really powerful time for me and for those of you that are joining. Tulin, welcome.
I really, I was really moved when you were talking about um, the the using today, not wasting today, but also intending to live a really long life. Um, cause that's what I want to do, and I think I realized in this current dark night of the soul that I lose a lot of energy putting things off for tomorrow, knowing that it's not promised, and at the same time, like I really want to live like a long life. So my energy management is like all, um, I'm like leaking a lot.
Yeah.
So I really like that kind of framework, and I know that's kind of like a lot of it is like the basis of like impeccability and energy management. But it was just nice to hear you put it that way. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for sharing. Yeah, it's very much, it is both, right? Every truth in the Toltec world has a contradiction that is also true. So truth isn't just like one thing, there's a totality to it. And it creates the platform of intensity, of perceptual intensity.
Yeah, I remember because I grew up Buddhist, and my nun and my aunt is a Buddhist nun,
Yeah,
and I remember reading that, or she taught me or something, that the opposite of a great truth is also true, and that it just maybe took like a decade or longer for me to actually understand that, and then here you are saying the same thing.
beautiful.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. Well, wishing you, uh, you know, to find your personal power within this difficult time of having to face things that you hadn't faced before. And it is uncomfortable, but it's outside of the comfort zone where the,
Oh, yeah. Something else you mentioned that I think could be really helpful, and I know I heard you say this before, but I forgot about it, is as I'm like decluttering, which I I like have to. I just literally have to. And I spend so much energy like oh, okay, I have to get rid of this. I haven't worn it in like 5 years. But then I really think taking my energy back from that item, and even like selling my wedding ring for money and stuff, but like taking my energy back from that, I think could be really, really helpful in the letting it go.
yes. Yeah. Because
Yeah.
then you're actually, it's multifaceted then. You're getting so much out of that process. You're getting your luminosity back from the objects. And, we don't want to be carrying things in our life that are no longer needed or serving us. We want to really purify and get to a state of empty as far as having, all this stuff. So being very careful about the things we keep.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. It was very nice to hear it again.
Good.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for sharing. Veronique, hi.
Hi, can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that was really powerful. Tulin, I think a lot of us are in this state of discerning what stays, what goes in our lives. And I think this work is really strong to use our our clarity, our impeccability to really determine what we want in our lives and what we need to purge. And I've been missing the live classes, but watching the replays, and I feel this momentum really strongly, like especially during the integration week. There was a lot of awareness channels opening. I was recapitulating my childhood moments in my bedroom, and I started remembering how my mother determined how I would arrange or decorate my bedroom. She would pick up my clothes for me, you know, up until the late teens, and
Wow.
all these things started to come up, and I was already aware that my mother wound had a lot to do with invasion, you know, feeling suffocated. You know, she would read my diaries and like crazy shit like that. And today, yeah, and I was recapitulating these moments, and the daycare texted me at that moment. So it's kind of like my kids were feeling that field of the maternal authority and my own struggle with that, my mother, you know, having power, so much power over me, and you know, things were going very crazy with my boys at the daycare. And I went to pick them up, and we had this heated exchange about how the tantrum could have been handled, because you know, I'm receiving all these labels about my 4-year-old being, you know, all these like psychomedical, like ADHD, like oppositional, and I don't believe in none of that. You know, my path of heart is to create the circumstances for them to be themselves and thrive and in this world. But anyway, all this to say that I walked away from the daycare with my boys, and I felt very numb, very confused. And I heard this laugh, this old man laugh. And I looked around and nobody was there, and it was very strange, you know, to perceive that laugh. And I instantly thought of Don Juan and the lineage, you know, laughing at my drama, because I was all wrapped up in my self-importance, you know, and my drama of being like, oh, like I'm just a mom, you know, like the struggle. And um it was like we need to laugh at ourselves more. And today is quite special because my mother is it's her birthday, and my family's in town for the weekend. And I announced her today on her birthday that she would take care of the boys for a few days while I'm going to Sedona. And that was really big for me, because there's this little girl in me still fearing, in fear of her mom, you know, what is she gonna say? Like, I had to make her happy. I have to be sure that she's content, because you know, I'm doing all these things for myself. And but it's been really healing, because I'm shifting from a place of my just for some reason, oh gosh, you know, like all these blessings. But I'm shifting from a place of really you know, seeing my mother as a resource.
Yes.
It doesn't, like, I don't need to be over her power. Like, she can be there for me and help me, you know, watch over the kids while I'll be in Sedona with all of you. And I'm celebrating that. So anyways, that was my share. And
Wow.
it's been super powerful. Like, it's still very, very confronting. Like, I'm still at that stage where this whole flip, you know, this whole shift is really confronting. And like, it's like I'm holding a big fart, you know, and it's icky and it's gassy, and I'm like, oh, like, but
Yeah.
I think Sedona's going to be pretty huge for me. I'm already in the process of preparing this journey, and I dreamed of it. We were already there. It's like it's already happened. But yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Good to see you being with your kids, and glad that you heard that laughter and able to not be offended, but to receive it. And then yeah, to just, we don't have to, like, the world doesn't have to be as hard as we think it does, so we can start to work with the situation as it is. And getting your mom to help is so key, because she needs that time with her grandkids, and just the way it all weaves. And it's very true that these events like Sedona has already happened, so we just get to walk into the memory and allow these transformations to just be, and trust in that nonlinear magical support. And so even if for some of you that won't be able to attend, it's just you get to tap into it still, right? It exists. And then it'll lead to being able to come to the next one and the next one, or it's just a platform of intensity, a perceptual intensity, for us to all step deeper into our medicine, into our power, get to know what we're capable of accessing. So thank you for beginning the journey to Sedona with me. It's good to hear from you.
Thank you.
Janet, welcome.
Hi.
Hi.
I'm working on my father wound.
Yes.
My father was a brilliant lawyer and the sheriff.
Wow.
He was also politician, and he did his taxes the day before he died.
Whoa.
So I just volunteered to do my taxes. I'm at least changing my language. It's baby steps for me.
Yeah.
But because I know that I'm going against my father by becoming sovereign. I'm
Yeah.
going against not God, but my father, who's bigger than God, right? Like he brought me into this realm. So anyway, I wrote 9 pages of notes for your talk today, and I mean, literally, I'm just so connected to you and this work, and I can't stop praising it, and the profundity of my growth and my non-growth is so huge. I I have been going to some concerts because I've been pushed. I went and saw the Dandy Warhols, and I mean, I'm literally pushing myself into my joy. And I have so much similarity with this idea that someone used to tell me the music I listened to was not good. It's not 432 hertz, right? Like the music. And so it's coming. And then I'm like, but it makes me happy. It's, like, so this idea of this thing about ecstasy, and it's my ecstasy. Who cares? And for Tulin, I mean, I'm a complete hoarder. I mean, I'm not saying that, calling you out as I am a hoarder, but I flip the script every day. I have to flip the script because I love beautiful clothes, and does that mean, would you tell Picasso he has too many paints? I know I've said this before. I need to use a different example because apparently Picasso wasn't a very good person, but like, come on, it's our joy, and this is a dream, and it's a nightmare, and it's this reality. And so if something brings us joy, and if also intense hiking up in the mountains in silence still brings me joy, but then also dancing my heart and soul out at a Dandy Warhol's concert, even when I know they're all jabbed, even and then the algorithms brought me into like a talk with Madonna or something. And I'm like, she's a very spiritual person, you know, like we try to fit ourselves into these categories of spiritual, non-spiritual, good, bad. And we're all pieces, like you say, we're all pieces of each other, and we're all we're all going to the same place. Anyway, I love you so much. Thank you. That's it. Bye.
Thank you so much, Janet. That's beautiful. Yeah, I'm happy for you to be okay and not okay, and be in the dream and the nightmare, and just be able to balance that, because it really is, it's super intense to come to terms with the fact that there is terror and beauty, and that they coexist, and that they balance each other out. And sadness is the most prevalent force that Toltecs experience, but they also, for a warrior, joy is the greatest accomplishment. And in order to get to that joy, we can't copy people. It doesn't work. Because that's what the program wants, is the comparison and the copy. That way they can put like a person on stage and everyone wants to be them, and then they can control the world that way. But we're all on a stage. We're all caught in this theater, and we have to admit to that and then take breaks from it. And that's the not doing. It's just, and so we're gonna be dancing with all of it forever, really. And it's a beautiful rite of passage that we're all inside of. And I'm so glad that you're so deeply affected by these ways of speaking, and thank you for sharing and for loving this work. And yeah, good to be with you. Hey, Cindy, welcome.
Hi, this has been a very powerful class. I'm glad I'm here. I had to make a choice between going to one of my 12-step meetings or being here. And I know I could catch the replay, but I really want to catch this one live. So,
Cool.
and I'm glad I did. I always hear so many good things, and my life has changed like so much since I found these groups and you, and it's I'm like kind of like a fearful person, like afraid of doing everything, which I've gotten a lot better at. So for me, it's been like fake it till you make it, a lot of it. And I have to push myself to do things like even talking like this. I'm not comfortable doing it. I would rather just stay silent, but I push myself because I know that's what's best for me. And I don't want to be identified as like this shy person. I want to be somebody else. And I feel like I'm starting to finally get there. Like even with my art, like I sold 2 paintings at an art show yesterday, and I have another one today. But it forces me, like I have to go out there, like sell myself, sell my paintings. So I have to talk to people, and it's been good for me. Like I meet lots of people, and I'm getting better at it, and I don't feel as afraid as I used to. And like doing things by myself like is very uncomfortable, so I do I'll make myself do the art show by myself. Like I'll have my husband come help me set up, and then a lot of times he'll leave. So it's just and this whole Sedona trip, I'm really looking forward to. I'm going to sell my car so I can be there, but I'm not just selling the car so I could be there. I have this car, we have to put premium gas in it, and it's like the bumper's falling off. And even though it runs great, because my daughter wrecked it, okay, it got wrecked, but so I'll put some money aside for the trip. But doing that by myself is really scary for me, like driving 4 hours by myself. I'm gonna try and talk myself out of it. I'm putting this out there right now to let you guys know that I'm gonna but I really want to be there, and it's only like 4 hours for me, so there's no reason why I can't. Um, and yeah, so I'm not sure what else, but yeah, the recapitulation, I've been doing that, not as much maybe as some, but uh, I have a hard time visualizing sometimes, but I find that as I'm doing the movements, like more memories are coming up, things I hadn't thought of in a long time, and more childhood stuff. So I guess it's working.
Working.
So yeah, so thank you. Thank you
Oh,
thank you everybody.
good work. Yeah, it's when you have some areas where you're not as comfortable and you do it anyways, then you feel pride, and that's a good feeling to be able to know that you're getting stronger and more capable. And yeah, a 4 hour drive by yourself can be incredible, can be change your life to just know that you're divinely protected and divinely directed. So just set your intention and let the universe know you're coming, and play some music that you like, and or listen to some podcasts as you go, and you'll be there in no time. So yeah, setting intent for you to be in Sedona, and really happy that you're going to make your first in-person workshop. That's amazing. All right, Keon, welcome, brother.
Hey, hey, can you hear me all right?
Yes, sir.
I was doing my sound check. Yeah, I got good reception today.
Excellent.
Uh, First of all, I just want to acknowledge a lot of new people. I don't do like the weekly, monthly groups, but the every couple month these community calls. A lot of new members, and so thank you all for being here. That's awesome. Um, which is also a testament to you, Joel, as well. So I just want to acknowledge your growth. And I went to your first workshop last August, 2024. Janet was there. Who else was there? Bo, I know I saw earlier. I'm sure maybe some other people on here, but yeah, you've come a long way, and I've seen your growth. And I'm very similar in that I can do things very quickly, but also very slowly. And my procrastination has held me back. But then at times, oddly enough, the synchronicities later are like, oh, that's why you procrastinated and you didn't even know it. So I love that and your pace. And even just your recent interviews with some, heavy hitters in the game, like really, and just your talks with them. And super cool and funny, especially just because, and I'll just say because it's hilarious that your talk with Tom Cowan had a whole circumcision part, and you guys are laughing, so it's just funny just to like have that just thrown in the mix because everything's so like all our data and facts, and it's like let's talk about our little wings, but sorry. Anyway, it was just hilarious, but it was a great talk. Gotta bring in some jokes. I just want to acknowledge that, and yeah. Oh my gosh, talk about when Janet said all these notes. This was a lot of amazing, very great lecture. I love this. I heard this somewhere where when you're triggered, always be triggered. Let's just, it's a gun reference, okay, metaphor, whatever analogy. This part, and this, even in all my psychology and like, my whole life, I'm like, this is the one. You actually can't be triggered if you didn't come loaded. So if you don't even have bullets in your gun, it's like you're just pulling the trigger. There's nothing even happening. So I like that. So you're coming already preloaded, which can be like, and I'm in recovery too. So this is a recovery meeting. Actually, it only takes two to have a meeting. We're all recovering in some sense. And so, yeah, you've already planned that relapse before it even happens. So I like that with loaded. And woke cities are the bomb, but they've also then, why do you think they've taken them over? I'm from the Bay
Yeah.
Area in San Francisco. That has so much old lore with, I mean, there's so
Yes.
much power in these cities. I mean, LA is where, Hollywood, the city of angels. I mean, these are
Yeah.
energy points. And so Seattle, San Francisco, and I was like, wow, that's why they've taken them over in the last 20 years and just flipped the script on them. So yeah, and Seattle has grunge and Hendrix and I mean skateboarding. I mean they're pretty cool. So or at least used to be, I guess. I just wanted to throw that out there. This is really neat. I found a bone the other day at my mom's property. I think it's a deer antler. And so it reminded me of Susan. And I just want to point that out because that was cool. It's in my car still. I'm going to make something out of it. I don't know why. Only probably because there she is. She popped in. She's like, I heard bones. And I just think that's amazing because, you know, F Disney on a whole level, but like that ride, It's a Small World is true because it's a small world. Here I am in Northern California, up in the redwoods. I find a bone and I'm thinking of Susan. I don't know where she is. She'll probably tell me where when she shares. But now there's just that connection, and there's an energy shared. And it's like just a trip, just to think about that. And so I'm listening to some other guy who's in the South and he's really into this guy, Arisha Stone, and he's really into rocks. And I'm like, oh my God, I love rocks and crystals. My mom has like a gem and mineral show in her house. And I'm like pulling out all these stones and making necklaces again for like the first time since I was like 13. So talk
Wow.
about going back to your childhood and old hobbies. And it's just these little connections that happen. And so every time anyone shares, it really brings that out. This is the last thing, and I'm going to try to make this really quick. And I talk a lot, but Animal encounters are amazing. I've always had a lot of animal encounters my whole life, like even with like wild animals that you like even shouldn't be around sometimes. But in the last week, and I do this where I speak out louder in my head, I've had a few encounters where twice with a hummingbird, it was
Mm.
just buzzing around, and I was like, "Oh, hey, do you want to stop for a second?" To the absolute second I said that, it landed. How often do you see hummingbirds land on a branch right near me as I'm walking my dog at like 8 in the morning before work? And it was just hanging out, and I'm just like, okay, that was one. Another hummingbird, about this is all in the same week. It was flying around, and all of a sudden it buzzed near me, and I was kind of on this little hillside doing some work on my mom's property, and I was looking down, and then I can't remember if I said out louder in my head, I was like, "Oh, hey buddy, what are you up to?" As soon as I said that, it stopped. Like, it was right in front of me, directly. Like, I mean, it was about 15, 20 feet, but it was perfectly in line with my face, almost like it was like, I don't want to say a drone, but it was like almost too perfect how it just stopped like instantly and just zoomed in. And I was like, well, hey, dude. And then it buzzed off. Okay.
Mm.
So that's two. There was a little spider crawling on me, and I got it off me. I'm not afraid of spiders. Spiders are actually great. Good luck. And I got it off me, put it on the ground. It was just a little daddy long leg, so I didn't have to go escort all the way outside. And I was like, you better not come back on me. Sure enough, a few minutes later, it had crawled, it was on my hand. So it had managed to climb all the way up my leg. I mean, it was off on the ground, all the way to the side of the room, come back all the way up to my hand. And I'm like, of course, you're on my hand, major energy center. And then I tried to get rid of it again, and it kept like just crawling back towards me. I'm like, all right, my man, whatever, just hang out, I guess. Okay, two more, and this will be quick. Where I park at work, I work in Eureka, California. There's a waterfront area. It's the Humboldt Bay. It's really pretty if you know the area. Anyway, there's these seals that hang out, a lot of fishery. And I'm there at my lunch break, so all the boats are coming in because they're in early. There's these seals that are always there. It's really pretty. I'm about to leave, and I noticed the seal was totally looking at me. And if you haven't seen seals, they kind of just, they just kind of bob around and then they dive down and get their fish. And I was like, okay, you're kind of grooving on me. I'm picking up your little psychic channel here. I'm picking up what you're putting down. And so I went outside my car, and I had to get going at that point. I set my little alarm, and I already hit the snooze. I'm 5 minutes away from work. But I was like, okay, let me just say like goodbye to this seal randomly. I literally say, hey, bye, buddy. Wave my arm like this. Okay. I didn't know seals could do this, but it literally like breached the water like a dolphin. I swear to God. And I'm like, again, San Francisco, Pier 39. I've been around seals, I guess, more often than maybe some. It literally went, well, it didn't make a dolphin noise, but it like full on like leapt out. And I swear it smacked its flipper like I was at SeaWorld. And I'm like, dude, did this bro just like literally like emulate my hand like to the second? I'm like, what? This is nuts. Of course, this is like my life. Last one. I'm coming home. There's some deer. There's tons of deer up here.
Mm.
And there was three deer, one in the road, and it's a small street. I'm like, okay, let me just drive. My dog's in the car. She's freaking out, like, oh, these deer. I'm like, okay, let me just go a little slow. They'll go in front. I've been around, lots of deer up here. They'll run up to the road, off to the side yards. There's a lot of forest throughout the, homes up here. It's the suburbs, but there's woods. They stayed on the side of my car, like running with me, like I was part of the pack or herd. It was a trip. And there was one buck and two female. And I'm like, what's happening? And my dog's freaking out. And I'm like, they were just like walk running with me. And I'm slowing down. And they went for like 2 blocks with me and then went in front of me. And I'm like, I've driven near deer like hundreds of times. They go in front. I know Joe in Montana, there's a lot. Anyway, that's a lot of stories. That's a whole whirlwind of stuff. But that was all in the last week, and that's insane. So I just want to encourage everyone, talk to animals, do it psychically, do it in your head. They don't speak English, they don't speak Spanish or Swahili. They just speak what intent it is. And I realized too, is my whole life I've had a lot of animal stuff, but whenever things come in bunches like that, like seeing colors on walls, I shared about that last time, like trippy, swirly stuff, woken up from dreams, sober, like this is not anything like crazy, no drugs, literally patterns of colors changing. There's something happening, and obviously more to be continued is the assemblage point, your purpose, your path. When things start to get lined up in these trippy ass ways that defy all the fucking Western and all our agendas and all our, our canned laughter. I wanted to point that out earlier. It's like we were even taught what's funny. So yeah, go against the grain. When you start picking up on these, realize your path's really opening up. So that was a whole shitload of stuff. So thank y'all for bearing with me. My coffee's finally kicking in, I guess. But anyway,
No,
there
that's
you go.
good, brother.
And thank you, Joel. Thank you, everybody.
No, good to hear from you, man. Yeah, it's a real thing, you know, these communications with the mother. I refer to the animals as being so close to the mother that they are the mother, and she does communicate to us through
Mhm.
that. And you know, I remember coming back from workshops and I'd have like two eagles flying like right outside my window along my car while I'm going to Tahoe, and so many different magical animal connections and conversations. And they'll give you spirit names if you can hear, like you'll get something that you receive. And but the humor and the timing, my son and I got to see a hummingbird on the ground at Hollywood Studios in LA when we were out there, and never, I mean, it must have been hurt. They don't normally walk around on the ground, but it was still just so profound to be in the presence of these magical beings, and when they're really just in a different state than they typically occupy. And there's just so much magical energy around these creatures. And I've been with these deer in Montana that have been on my property for every morning. There's just so many of them communicating and coming really close to me. So I'm so glad you got those experiences, brother. And thanks for sharing your humor with us. And yeah, much love. Timothy, welcome. Hey, man.
Yo,
Yo,
good to see you guys.
we see you.
Uh, Man, I totally forgot that we had a meeting today. And I was just like, oh shit, I'm gonna jump on. So
Cool.
this is nice. Good little surprise. Um, hey Cindy, I'm really glad you're gonna be able to make it to that Sedona. I'm still gonna I might go. It's still a maybe, but man, I'm still reeling from August. I'm still riding the wave
Yes.
freaking August, dude. So it's oh man, getting together and doing the passes with in real life is so badass. So I'm sell that car. It'll be good. And then also the recovery thing is a really I think a pretty cool concept because
Hmm.
we are all in recovery. We're all recovering from the modern world. You know what I'm saying? Which damaged us all. We all got wing clipped
Mm-hmm.
and we're all addicted to it. That's the other thing that's interesting is like I'm addicted to it still. You know, I'm still addicted to the poison. So it is in a lot of ways, you know, me and my wife were talking about this years ago. We're like, man, if you look at Castaneda and like what Don Juan is doing with Castaneda, it is like he's taking him through a recovery program, you know? So I think that's a cool analogy that could really be expanded on. Um yeah, and so the thing I've been really tripping about, and I brought it to the group a while back when I was talking about serpent energy and stuff, but I didn't know how to like explain it. But so I've kind of like organized the thoughts a little bit better, and I'm noticing there's a meme called the Longhouse, and it's a very fascinating meme. So you've got like Longhouse energy, and you've got like Step Rider energy. Okay, so basically barbarism versus like hyper societal sort of HR culture, if you will. So I've been like getting really, I like walk into a room now, dude, and I'm telling you, I can feel this longhouse energy. I can see this kind of this societal conditioning, and it's like a fog. You know, I don't think it is the Waitiko specifically, but I think it's like a product, a byproduct of the Waitiko somehow. And so a lot comes up for me as I'm delving into this longhouse thing because it brings me back to school. I feel like it has understanding this longhouse meme has a lot to do with understanding public school and the kind of the way we were all conditioned in public school. So, you know, it's just fascinating. It's like it's giving me a kind of a window into understanding and the very all the things that I went through, you know, like some of the frustrations I feel towards women, uh and things of that nature. So that's just something that I've been playing with, you know, and I've noticed when I'm out in public and I start to see that energy and vibe it, I can then sort of drop into it and it no longer, it doesn't really bother me in the same way. Like even my field will start to almost expand and kind of like, I don't know, change the vibration in the room just by sort of altering my field to meet it. So yeah, that's something that I've been tripping out about, man. I just think it's such a cool concept. But yeah, those are some things I've been thinking about. So appreciate your time, everybody. Much love.
Thank you, brother. Thank you for sharing. And yeah, that's huge, right? If we are no longer offended at the domesticated people or the domestication itself, then we get to we can have an effect on the world that's super positive because we're integrating what is instead of being at odds with it, and that's what's going to make the difference here. Is it's rather than being conflicted, we expand, and then our energy goes boom, right?
Yeah, because my pattern, I always fight it. My pattern
Yep.
was always to rage,
Yep.
and obviously that's not good. So,
It's a good transformation, brother. Yeah, you're all changing so much since we all started working together. You can just go back and think about the first conversations we all had, and just it's this massive change, right? And that's just so beautiful. Thank you. Hey, Susan. Welcome.
Hi, everybody. Okay, I'm going to show this to Kiana. Kiana. All right, see this?
Whoa.
I got this in Montana in August. That was the last phone I received.
Wow.
I'm really tired. My nephew was here for a week and he left Tuesday, and I just am tired. But I want to talk about being out in public, but I want to talk about something else also. All right, so I was telling everybody in class on Tuesday, when we were out in public, I started seeing people's feelings, and I'd never really experienced that before. And it kind of freaked me out, but I was okay. And then Joel said, just, keep it, just watch it. So then I took him on BART on Tuesday to the airport, and I didn't let anything bother me. And I think when I'm in that, not letting anything bother me, and I'm like really in myself, in my body, people are like staring at me. I don't care, but I've noticed that people really stare at me when I'm like really grounded in my body.
Mm-hmm.
I've been working with a somatic therapist the past 4 or 5 weeks. And I saw her this morning. I had a session with her this morning, but there's this resistance that I have in my body.
Mm-hmm.
And it comes up about, I don't know, every 4 or 5 weeks where I just want to push it all away. So today I started talking about when me and my brother, we lived in Indiana, in a small town in Indiana for 4 years. I was like 6 to 10. My brother's 2.5 years younger than me. Well, my parents would start fighting, we would run to the woods. That was our safety, run to the woods. I mean, the woods are still my safety, but it's also my peace and my silence. So today when I was telling Shelly about it, and I told her about this resistance in my body, and it's really resistance about going deeper into my childhood trauma. And then I realized I'm not fighting anybody else. I'm fighting myself about going deeper. So now I don't, it's like that whole pushing thing is like lifted. It's quite amazing how I feel.
Wow.
But what I want to ask you about, I've been recapitulating, but sometimes I just don't feel like it's working. Some days it feels like it's working really well, and then other days it doesn't feel like it's working.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So, they say when you put in like 2 hours of recapitulating that you're probably getting about 15 minutes of work done because it's just a
Okay.
really difficult thing. If it's not working, it's okay to just stop. and, you know, give it a shot another time. And, or you could, you know, maybe do some movements to try to shift it so that it does work. It's just a matter of being creative. It's not something that necessarily is going to work all the time, because we just aren't as silent as we like. Sometimes we're more silent than others. So it has to do with what level of silence we're at. And that has to do with stress and energy management. And but somatic therapy is really powerful. So the more you are able to go inward, the greater your capacity to have more success with the recapitulation will be. And it's all perfect in its timing, because our shields aren't meant to go away right away. We're shielded and armored for a reason. And we want to be aware of, and, you know, be almost thankful that we're not advancing any quicker than we are, because it has to do with what's appropriate for what's coming. And so you just start making peace with the process that we're in. And yeah, so it totally makes sense, but I get how it can be frustrating when one day it's so effective and the next day you do it and it's like it's not nearly as effective. It can be extremely different, but eventually it'll make sense as to why and for what purpose.
Okay, I have another question.
Okay.
I'm gonna start cleaning out my closet. How do you, will you tell me how to recapitulate my clothes, please?
Yeah, I mean, it's just one at a time, one garment at a time, if you can, and really just try to be conscious of the fact that when you're inhaling, you're taking back the energy that you left in that garment.
All
And
right.
then, you know, it's not so much about the exhale. It's
All
about
right.
just the exhale is just to breathe out so that you can inhale again. And you're just retrieving the part of you that is like, just imagine that clothing's going to go to somebody and be like, you know what? I don't want them to have my energy. This is my energy. I'm going to take it back before this person's going to have it. And it just totally is a practical thing that you're doing. You know, it's not some super witchy thing. Although this is a tool to become super witchy, right? It's a similar realm, right? So women that learn to take their energy back from their sexual past are stepping deeply into their power, because it's that capacity is what's going to give them agency over their energy. So cord cutting, clearing your field of other people's energies. Yeah, and yes, not giving away your energy. So why would we, you know, but we do this. Like I just sold a bunch of tools and I forgot to I forgot to take my energy back from them. And now I have to do it from a distance, which is doable, but it's a lot easier to do it right then and there while you have the object in front of you. So maybe you gave away clothes throughout your whole life to the thrift store. You can still recollect your energy from all your clothes, right? You just have to do it maybe in large group. Like you think about eighth grade. You're like, okay, I'm going to take my energy back from all my eighth grade clothes, and you just sit there in the dark. You know, it's interesting. You're cleaning out a closet. Maybe you can get in the closet once you're done cleaning it and recapitulate in the closet, and then go back to eighth grade and reclaim your essence from that period of your life, and just practice with the clothing first. So it's a tangible sort of step that we can take.
Okay, and I want to say something else to Keon. I was up in Mount Shasta a week ago. I took my nephew up to Mount Shasta, Crater Lake, and Mount Lassen, and there was no snow on Mount Shasta when we got there. I'm like, damn, I've never seen that mountain without some snow on it. And then we went up to Crater Lake, and Joel, it was falling down like it did when I came in April, just like the snowstorms I grew up with. It was so beautiful. And there was at least about a foot of snow up on Crater Lake. And then we went the next morning because we couldn't see the lake. So I said, we have to go. We could see the lake. So I got to see snow. And then on the way back from Mount Lassen down to come home, Shasta was covered in snow. I said to my nephew, he was driving, I said, if you want to go, you know, the exit's a couple miles away. So we did. We ended up going back up there and hanging out with the snow on Shasta. It was beautiful. Thank you.
That's awesome. Where are you again? Or if you want to share, or just
I'm outside of San Francisco. I'm in Walnut Creek.
Oh, okay. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, from the peninsula. Oh, that's amazing. Yeah, I think the same thing happened with Kilimanjaro, but with the snow. But that's cool that it happened after the fact when you were back, because that place is amazing. And I've been all over all those roads and highways. Yeah. Super cool. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thanks. Thank you. Thanks, Joel.
Thank you. Yeah. Renee, and then we'll go to Janet Pomegranate. Hi,
Hey
Renee.
everybody. Hi Joel. Can you
Hi.
hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Can't see you, but we can hear you.
Yes, I'm having trouble putting on the camera. I'm here in Lourdes, France,
Okay.
and I am you happened to pop up and I'm like, oh, it's a great time. So we
Good.
had dinner and we came back to the hotel, and I just wanted to say about talking about the places of power. I know a lot of sheep, you know, the sheep come here, but this place is powerful. I can feel the energy. Um, it's a apparition site, what they call an apparition site, where um, the Virgin Mary appeared to Bernadette Subaru. So it was in the somewhere in the mid 1800s, and so one of the things that happened was one of the supposed miracles that happened was a spring came out from the grotto that Bernadette would see the Virgin Mary. So everyone around the world comes to this place, and I've always wanted to come. As a teenager, it was a place I wanted to come to. And not because I was back then I was Catholic, but it was my hope. That was like it gave me so much hope. And so when I came here, it was just like the energy, the emotion. It was just I was recapitulating, and it was just amazing. So I've been to several this past week or past 2 weeks, I've been to several apparition places. So one was in Portugal, which is another place I wanted to go, where I believe it's Mother Earth. I believe it's Mother Earth that has appeared, because she's never stated her name. She appeared in Portugal, and I went there. The energy, oh my gosh, I felt so emotional. I was recapitulating there. Uh, there's so many people around the world that come to these places. But coming back here to Lourdes, on the topic of Lourdes and being here, the water, there's a creek, there's not even a creek, it was a spring that sprouted out from the grotto in a mountain, but it's by a river. And so today I was actually washing my hands, drinking water from the faucets that they have in the grotto, in the mountain. It's basically a mountain, and it's just I can't describe the energy, because it's a place of power, and I can feel the place of power, and it's just I just have no words, but I am very excited to go to Sedona, because I know that's another place of power that I cannot miss. And that one, as soon as you opened that up, I was so excited to be a part of that. Um, and also going back to the memory of the animals, I just wanted to speak on. I think it's Keon. He talked about the animals. I just recapitulated right now when he was speaking a memory that I had when I was in Maryland and I was riding motorcycles with my husband. And we stopped at a place. I took off my helmet and a hummingbird came and kissed me on the lip. He literally kissed me on the lips. I just remembered that I was like, oh my gosh, I had that. I had it. It's been like probably 5 years, or yeah, about 5 years. And I remember that it just came. I remember that memory because I immediately took off my helmet. We were going to look at the GPS. We're going to check Chesapeake Bay. I was living in Andrews Air Force Base, and I take off the helmet, and I had to even confirm it with my husband. I said, "Did you just see that? Did I just get kissed by a hummingbird?" And he's like, "Yes, it just kissed you on the mouth." So yeah, that was pretty amazing. So I just wanted to share that, and just to share that I'm just very excited to be going right after this to Sedona. So just wanted to share that.
Thank you, Renee. Thank you for being here and for fitting us in with your magical adventure in a realm of power, and super amazing. And congratulations on being blessed that way. And I'm so glad you'll be attending your first in-person workshop. It's a lot of really cool coming together that happens, and so glad for those of you that are new to the in-persons. And yeah, good to hear from you. All
Thank
right.
you.
All right, Janet Pomegranate.
Hey,
Hi. Good to see you.
first of all, I apologize for being late.
Fine.
I'm not gonna lie, I forgot.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm with an older couple. They're both 80, and um, they just moved from next door to here, and the gentleman has dementia. And my plans, my plans can wait. You know, when the woman
Sure.
was not feeling well yesterday, so I didn't get anything that I needed done. But anyway, so I've been up since 4:30 and trying to play catch up. And I was totally thinking of the magical passes because I happened upon a YouTube video of somebody I subscribed to, and it was an interview with a Sasquatch dude from Ontario.
Wow.
And what he was talking about with his interactions with these beings, and what the woman who was interviewing him, because she's, you know, can remote view and all this kind of stuff, but what she was sharing about how her daughter, who's very gifted, um, sort of like, I hate to use all these words, teleport, or, you know, whatever, but I'm saying using a protective field, which when, not just a protective field, but having these other beings communicate how they come into this world. What was described was totally what I see and what I've experienced to my own, you know, minuscule degree in the magical passes. So that's pretty fun. So anyway, I have every intention of being in Sedona. It's been really difficult for me to plan things, but it's about damn time I show up for an in-person, because I've really enjoyed working with you. I had a great session with Rachel the other day. I'm going to do the 9-month woman's
Wow.
course that's just starting. Yeah.
Beautiful.
So it's finally all coming together. So everybody, great to be here. Sorry I'm late, and I look forward to seeing any of you and all of you in person
Yay.
soon.
Wonderful. So good. Yay. Um, good to hear from you. Yeah, the Sasquatch are real for those of you that are skeptical. And my elder is a female medicine woman, and that was her main helper, was a really powerful being that she actually gifted to me as an ally. And so I dream with them, and it's a really magical thing to be able to to communicate with these beings, and they're very, very intense. I've also had them scare the shit out of me in the wilderness many times. They do not fuck around if you're out there alone and you're not ready for the encounters. So they will make the craziest sounds and do the craziest things to try to prepare you for just power. And yeah, thank you for bringing them into the field of this conversation. And we're just so not alone. And there's so much more to this world than meets the eye. And it's a beautiful thing. I'm so happy you'll be intending to be in Sedona. And yeah, I'm just really, really thankful for everyone's getting their first time in person. And for those of you that are veterans, it's just going to be good to have fresh people that are coming at this from new angles of perception. It makes all the difference in the world. All right, Anush, welcome.
Hi, how are you?
Good.
It's been a long time.
Yeah.
I'm also intending to be in Sedona.
Yeah.
I drove there last April by myself, 8 hours.
Cool.
And I really enjoyed it. At first I had I didn't have any intention of climbing any of the canyons there. But once I did one, I was like, oh, I had to do it every day. I stayed there. I was only going for like 2 days, and then I ended up staying a week.
Yeah. Powerful.
Yeah. I was just gonna say, the owl showed up again. I know.
Wow.
Yeah, the the owl was something. I'd never seen one in California before. I don't think I've ever seen one. I had a dream of a white owl
Yeah.
about 2 years ago when I started to do the work, and it actually was flying towards me. It was really big, and then it shapeshifted into the Silverman, Elvis Presley, and it said it's time to rock and roll. This is like 2, 3, maybe 4 years back, and so it was really cool to see an owl. And when I saw it again, it wasn't. I was going to throw out the garbage, and I live on an upper unit, so I have to like walk down and go around the building to throw my garbage out. And I saw it, and I'm like, that's the owl. It was like 10:30 at night. And so I threw the garbage out and it didn't move. So I started walking towards it. And then it flew. And I saw like all the white feathers underneath it. Oh, it was so beautiful. And then about 3 weeks ago or so, there was I've actually seen this hawk in the front of like, because of the upper unit, there are trees that kind of give me privacy. And this hawk, before when I saw it just flew out as I stepped out. But this time I stepped out into my patio and like it was just sitting there in the tree. And then I like started talking to it too. And like it didn't like really respond. It was just looking out. And I was like, okay, I don't want it to fly away. I just want to look at it and whatever. So it sat there for a good 2 hours. I played it music. I played it some handpan music because I just opened my window and like the speaker, the music can like flow outside. And so it just sat there for like 2 hours.
Wow.
Yeah, it's just really cool. I also want to share what Veronica shared about her mom and her going through your diary. So I actually stopped writing to a point where like if I sit down to write now, I can't. It's just really hard for me. Like I have to like really sit down and make myself write. And my dad used to read, like my parents would not, like there was no such thing as privacy growing up. So everything I wrote, I even to a point where I would write things backwards. So I'd write it backwards. So all the written words were backwards. So then I was like, okay, they can't read that. But my dad found it and he was able to read it. And so it's just like after that, I was like, I stopped writing. And like to this point, I cannot get back into writing like in that way. So
Oh,
yeah.
wow. Thank you. That's really sad, but it's also really potent, you know, that's a really powerful thing to share, and to then be able to sort of transform eventually and be able to trust and write again, you know, but it's going to take, it's a journey to be able to heal that. So that's a massive thing to recapitulate. Like that's such a big story. And that's what you were doing, is you were trying to write your story. Right. So it's just very, very powerful thing to have.
That's, yes, sorry to interrupt. That was actually flowing in from a past life where I was a poet, but I was a girl and I was a Muslim girl. And my
Wow.
dad found my work, and
Mm.
I was actually writing, I was really young. I wasn't even a teenager, and I was writing love poems, but they were just flowing through me, and I was writing about devotional love poems. I wasn't writing about a particular person.
Wow.
That writing had brought so much shame to my family that
Mm.
yeah, it kept coming up to even last summer. I think I shared this with Rachel with one of the sessions we did last summer.
Mm.
And one of the messages I got from that was that because it kept coming up, I was like, I need to sit down and kind of reflect on why this keeps coming up again. And the message I got was, you write and the patriarchy dies. And I was just like, but I can't write.
Oh.
Yeah, and I also want to share that, you know, when we talk about recapitulation, I recently sat with a women's group doing sexuality, creativity, wounds, and a lot of the stuff that was coming up for me was actually from my ancestors. Like it was
Mm.
not like from this, like for me, it's like, it feels like I'm doing a lot of ancestral work rather than just can't tap into my stuff from this life.
Sure.
So what are your thoughts on that, Jewel?
Well, I mean, that makes sense because you've done so much past life regression. You know, it's just was accessible to you because you're a very multifaceted person, and some people are that way. It's not a negative, or it doesn't mean that you won't be able to recapitulate this lifetime and or get to know your memories here. It's okay to use your gift in the way that it's designed at the moment. And you know, that is what a lot of people, the reason they try to do the work that I offer is in order to get to the past life stuff. They want to have the genetic memory return, the ancestral stuff. And so you're just kind of going at it opposite, and that'll balance out, you know, depending on how whatever armor you're carrying around any wounds that you've experienced from this particular lifetime. They're just more, you have more armor because of whatever happened. And um, it's breaking that armor open with, you know, in a way that is effective. And so that could be, there might come a time where you de-armor in a healthy relationship in the future, and that's what triggers the ability to then reflect upon your past of this lifetime. It just depends on what I'm just speculating, but you know, we all have some sort of catalyst event that happens where we become that much more sensitive to all the feelings that move through your chakra system. And so playing around with songs from your childhood, movies, looking at items from your past, if you have some, rather than trying to formally recapitulate, just being open to the ways in which you can surface the feelings, and then just, you know, be creative inside of that process. And it's not a negative whatsoever. It's actually just serving as a way for you to creatively tap into what might be keeping you from them, and then understanding that that is serving you. Our shields or our armor is appropriate for where we're at. And it might have to do with some unresolved anger, having been, you know, treated the way you were, or spied on, or not allowed to have your own expression in this lifetime. It's a wound that is especially, sensitive. So you kind of are on some level subconsciously avoiding it. And you just eventually will have enough energy to turn and face it. And then it'll be very accessible eventually. Yeah, good to see you. So glad you're intending to be at Sedona as well. And yeah, it's just to those that are listening and watching the video, we're all here working together to become capable of de-armoring through wolf pack work. So sometimes, like, I have a lot of wounding with men because of my teachers were men. And so I'm in the process of working with a men's group here in Austin, and I'm de-armoring by trusting those connections. And so everyone has a different version of things. Like, I've always been in co-ed. It's safer for me than, or even I've related to women friends more than I have men. So everyone has a different version of armor and wounding that they operate from. But by coming to these meetings, by coming into the online courses, by showing up in person, there might be elements of our being that are scared or uncomfortable. It can be, but it is outside of the comfort zone that we have the biggest breakthroughs. But it's also not about pushing ourselves and trying to do something we're not ready for. But this is a really incredibly supportive, loving group to connect to. And yeah, really thankful for everyone to come here today. Jose, did you want to say something? Saw your microphone went on. Kian, welcome again. Hi.
Welcome back. Oh, no, real quick. That's so wild. Talk about synchronicities. Thank you, Renee, for that hummingbird share. That was amazing. A lot of hummingbirds. That's got to be something. And I just love that we have a Janet planet and a Janet pomegranate
Yes.
in this group. That's how cool we are. Person ever in existence, I think, in the universe. So there you go. Joel, you're pretty awesome too, but no, there's that. And then I just wanted to say that because I thought that was hilarious. And here's something crazy. There's this artist I like, Prof. He's this underground hip hop artist out of Minnesota. And he just has this new release. And I just started listening to it the other day. And the thumbnail is a white owl. A white owl. So, whoa, talk about synchronicities. I don't know when it was, I think maybe a couple weeks ago. I just started listening to it like a day or two ago. So, yeah, just wanted to share that. And you are your ancestors. You are the entire culmination in that. You're completing that trauma, that story. The word doesn't come back void. You're the one that's culminating. So I really love that share about the writing and the writing backwards and how that's carried on. Super powerful. So thank you. Thanks everyone for being here. Yeah, go Wolfpack. How? So, all right, thank you.
Yeah. That's so cool. Yeah, it's all connected. Thank you, Jose. So yeah, I was visited by a white owl in Mexico in the alleyway during the day, and I looked it up, like what the meaning was, and it was said that somebody had died. That was the meaning of it, according to this one thing that I looked at. And then I went on Facebook and I saw my friend had posted a picture of a house, or like this like yurt on his cover, and I was like, what? Because it was a friend of a friend. And I knew instantly that the only reason he did that was because my friend was dead. Like, he wouldn't have posted that unless something really crazy had happened. And then I was able to get a hold of him and find out. And so the world will tell you the things that are going on through the messages, through the animals. And that ended up being a massive catalyst for me to then have a massive breakthrough with a lot of other friends as we got into our pain we're able to get into our hearts and process that loss. It's just, incredible world, and we get to support each other and get close, even though we're going to lose, some of us are going to die. We're all going to go through the different stages. Losing Natalia recently. For those of you that didn't know her, she was a really amazing woman. Yeah. So thank you, everyone. We'll see you next time. Take care, and yeah, just show up with your heart open, and it's gonna hurt at times, but it's also gonna be very healing and magical. And I know that a lot of you are going through some intense times right now. It's a really intense time to be alive. So it's we're sending love and intent for everybody. And if you can make it to Sedona, I promise it'll be a really strong thing. Sometimes there's a lot of pressure to not show up because of what the breakthroughs that can happen. But if you can make it happen, I highly recommend it. Take care, everyone. We'll see you next time. See you in dreams and all that. Take care.
Thank you. Lots of love.
Thank you, Jessica.
Thanks, everyone. Much love. All right. Take care.
All right.